Yeah. How you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, we're recording now, Nick.
Right, lovely that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Nice one. Nice to see you again. So it's good. It's a good one. So it's better than the last time when we did the CPR stuff. A bit more, hopefully, a bit more joyous, let's say. But it's nice to see you again, and thanks for inviting me, because I have been watching not all of his stuff, but it's time, innit? You can't watch everything, but I have watched quite a few, and it's really inspired me to think of like stuff I did and the stuff people I met, and the little stories and things that happened to me, and like my mates and stuff like that. It's quite a, when you look back, I mean, I'm bloody 60 now, I'm getting on a bit, so it's quite funny. So there's a lot of things happened, and it's like quite a big thing when you look back and you go, actually, with that, we're part of a great thing. You don't realise it, but at the time, but you are part of a brilliant kind of movement in musical and cultural kind of history. It's a bit crazy to say, but we did lucky. Right. Bands like Joy Division, the Smiths, who came from Manchester, all the Buzzcocks. I mean, I'm not like a big Oasis fan, but they're a big band, aren't they, and stuff like that. I did see them in the early days and all that. So we are part of that thing, and it's like nice to reflect on it. And I've had a good look at some of your contributors, and it's really prompted me to think, hold on, what did you do in it? And I was on the peripheries of a lot of it.
Yeah. There's a photograph, I'll put it on my Instagram. Like, so for anyone watching, this is Nick Redshaw. A lot of
Nick Redshaw or Redgey.
Yeah. Steve Redshaw's cousin. And Steve Redshaw's the guy that interviewed me, and then
Stephen Redshaw, my cousin. That's it.
Yeah. But I put a picture on Instagram, and it was your birthday, and it's you, Craig, and Joanne. And
that's right.
Thousands of people looked at it. Like,
Shambles Square, that was. Yeah. That was like an infamous night. It's Joanne Aston inspired me to dress up as madly as I could. So we bought this charity shop stuff, all these like mad suits. We used to just wear mad stuff. We'd go out and wear the most horrible, crazy, cheap suits you could find, and wigs. And she'd even put makeup on and stuff like that. Sometimes we'd obviously just off our heads, and you just do anything. You wouldn't really be thinking about stuff. It'd just be like, let's do this, let's do that, and you didn't have any boundaries. And that was a great thing. Now, when you get older, you're like a bit more like, oh God, I won't be doing that. But when I look back, I do cringe a little bit as well. But it's part of living. It's part of life. It's part of growing up, and part of like making your character and all the things that happened on the way. So, but I feel quite privileged that you've asked me to do it, and it's quite a nice thing to do, really, because I can look back on things. So I'll start off. I've just done like a little timeline of things. I've been writing things down a little bit to try and jog my memory. So we was born in like Salford. I'm like 60, so born in 65 in Salford. We Hope Hospital when I was Salford Royal, and then I met like a lot of my mates. I was quite lucky. A lot of the people that I met at infant school I carried on friends for life, really. So not all of them are here now, of course, but I feel very lucky to have friends from that time period, and they became good mates. And we went out a lot, and we joined bands and did things together that was all like, really good things. So 77, we went to Hope High School, and that also the year that punk kind of came out, really. So we was only 12, so we were only very young. But I do remember lots of things happening. This like older people went to this lad's house, Corbieres, this big lad, Paul Coleman, and he had the Sex Pistols, the Bollocks album on, and I was like, what's this? I'd never heard out like it in my life before. So it changed us like lots of other people, like Joy Division and different bands. They were inspired by that, and they saw it, and they were like, wow, this is just amazing. This changes the landscape. So that inspired us to start music, and you thought you could do it yourself, but it was DIY music, wasn't it? It was something that you could go, I can play guitar. So I got my dad to buy me a guitar, got this amp. And then my friends then were like Bendy, so Ian Bendillo. So I was in the same class with him, Darren Pemberton, and Craig Gannon, who obviously did the real thing rather than kind of tinkering around the edges like us. Craig was in another class, but in the same year. So we were all mates. So we all joined bands, started bands, and all bought instruments. I think Ben had guitar, Bendy had guitar, Craig had a guitar, obviously. So we used to rehearse in different places. So I had this house, we had this big old house in Salford, Wilton Road, big cellars, these big cellars. So we had equipment down there. It was all set up all the time. I don't know how your mum and dad did it, but they must have put up with a lot of noise. I used to get these broom handles and play on the sofa when I was quite young as well, and I heard some early Beatles stuff, Penny Lane and stuff like that, Strawberry Fields. So it was like you're hearing top quality music that was like, wow, this is just changing the world, and you didn't realise it at the time. So we was inspired by that. We was 12, 13, 14, stuff like that. Craig had this, I don't remember his first guitar, but he had this massive amp. It was called a Cobra, I think. 4 12-inch speakers. And the volume was unreal. In his bedroom, he used to play that. It was almost like you were crying, the volume. Again, I don't know how the neighbours put up with stuff like that. It was just earth-shattering, loud. And his brother Kirk was quite instrumental as well. I think Kirk was quite an influence on Craig a little bit and stuff like that. Yeah. That'll come in later on, a bit of that stuff. Yeah. So me, Bendy, Craig, Pem, there's another guy called Bailey, Craig Bailey, who used to rehearse in his place as well. That was another band. Pem was involved in that. And it was the time, like The Cure, A Forest, I think one of the songs he used to play. He had all the lights down and had one single little light in the corner. And it set the atmosphere. And it was like he'd stepped up from trying to learn chords and like really rubbish playing to this next level of like he sounded quite good now. He got drums, he got bass, he got guitar, he got a vocal, and it was like, wow, things are moving up a little bit here rather than just really amateur. Learning chords was learning how to do. We're all practicing all the time. We'd be walking around the streets carrying amps from different houses to different houses, setting up in Pem's house with, again, earth-shattering volumes, proper punk, just smashing stuff up. And I got this fuzz box, and that was it. Once I had the fuzz box, you could do anything really. It sounded pretty good. You couldn't really play guitar that well. I couldn't play that well. That's why I switched to drums later on. But if you got the fuzz box on, it just made a song. And we had songs like it called Riot State was one of the songs. I wrote that one. I didn't write many things, but I did write that one. And then Pem wrote a lot of stuff. We just loved music. We were just part of it. We'd go to Bendy's house on Chamonley Road, and then they'd play the music, and again, massive volume of the music. His parents were nearly crying. They must have hated us. And he'd have the volume whacked up, and we'd started wearing them long coats, like Echo and the Bunnymen, like them big tweed jackets and all that. And we just used to get our hair and do that and rough it all up. So that was like the music scene was going on, in and out of bands, everyone's getting inspired by music. And then got to about 17 and we started to left school, stuff like that, started to have some drinks. So we would we'd get, don't know how we did it, but we'd go out with we'd get little quarter bottles of Pernod. We started at the top, we didn't mess around. It wasn't like having a glass of cider or that. We went to the top house straight away. So we'd all get these little bottles of Pernod, walk around the streets because we couldn't get in the pubs. So our nearest pub was the Inn of Good Hope. Yeah. He would not let us in. And we was always we started drinking, we'd have one of them, it'd be off your head, and we'd be running around Salford doing that stuff, running around cars and just stupid things really that you do when it's that age. So, but we were desperate to get in the pub, so we all smartened up a little bit, and then we tried to get in early. The doorman hated us. They were like, you're not coming in. And this one was a bit thick. One of them, he said, bring your passports or your driving license. I just passed my test. So he looked at it. I was 17. He looked at it. He went, oh yeah, you're okay. I think once you let me in, you let the others in. So we went to the Inn of Good Hope, and that was our little place for a while. Lots of drunken nights. I mean, that stuff went on. We wasn't. We were stupid. We was just idiots, really. We wasn't into trouble if that's like. Yeah. Well, trouble occurred. Let's say Bendy knocked into a few people and he ended up getting chucked out. We got banned twice. I rang up the manager and said, please, can we come back? You know, we'll behave and all that. He said, yeah, one more chance. Anyway, so obviously that didn't happen. We got banned again. We snuck in early and I rang up Craig and said, we're in. And the doorman was behind me. He said, no, you're not fucking in, you're out again. So that was it. So Craig's brother Kirk mentioned somewhere in town, Corbieres, because we had nowhere to go. We banned from the Oakwood and banned from the Good Oak. We were desperate to go out. We wanted to see music. We wanted to have a drink. We wanted to have a laugh. Just the normal things. So we ended up going to town in Corbieres and we're like, wow, this place is stunning. It's like downstairs. It's got this brilliant jukebox. It's full of like kind of trendy-ish people, student-y people that you're not going to get beaten up. You know, we're not going to be in fights and that. Oh, it's nice. It's that's the environment you want. So we started going there quite regular. That was our little horn for a while. And then, so that would have been like the early 80s, like 80, something like 83, something like that kind of time.
Yeah.
By that time, we was playing in bands still. So we did actually play Corbieres. So
did you play Corbieres?
Yeah, we played a lot of places. When I look back, I think we've done quite a bit here. I mean, it was all rubbish, but we did it. It was always bands on I think one of the contributors who used to go Corbieres said the Wednesdays and Thursdays. I think we did a Thursday. I've looked back at some of the gigs things. The Happy Mondays played there. Yeah, believe it or not, which I didn't know. I was looking at different set lists and histories of bands. I'm like, God, I'm playing the Mondays. It's like, God, it's like. So different bands played there. We played, me, Bendy and Pem. I was playing drums by this night, Rex Trumpet. Bendy got really drunk. Bendy we always wanted to take it that step further. So Bendy got drunk. We rehearsed these songs. I can't remember the name of the band, Murders in the Garden. Something like that. We just had mad names, and it was like, I'm not even sure that's the right name. That was one of the band's names. So Bendy was really drunk, and he made a right show of it. So I was embarrassed, and I thought, because I was driving, I didn't drink, and being a drummer, you often had to drive. So I was really annoyed with him, and I was really angry. I spent all his money on this great drum kit. Pem was a bit drunk, but he wasn't as bad. But Bendy just made a show of it, and it was an embarrassment. So I was like pissed off with that, and I thought, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Plus the Armando. So when we first went in, it was that guy Mike, I think, who ran it, the lad, and his dad, maybe, I'm not sure. So and then it changed over to Armando later on. So I can't think if it was Armando. It must have been. I remember him moaning at us because we'd put loads of fly posters up all over like Kendall's windows the week before, and Kendall's rang him saying they're going to sue Corbieres. It was like, yeah, we're not having this. It's a disgrace. It's all over the place. This fly poster in Corbieres. Come and see our band. We went out one night on Sunday. My dad was a painter, so we had like buckets of paste. We just went out like doing stuff like that. He just did it. He just didn't think about it. He just did it. But we obviously chose the wrong places. It wasn't like some little corner. It was like floor on like Kendall's windows or Debenhams, someone I can't remember now. Anyway, so I wasn't happy with it. So we had a lot of mad nights in there. I mean, some of them were rum and we was very loud and drunk, and probably people thought, fucking hell, I'm not these lot again. And I don't blame them, to be honest. But one night I do remember Bendy, we were all sat at the bar, and again, Bendy was really off his head, and he toppled over right into a table, just glasses smashed everywhere, all these people going mad. And I think they only had one doorman at a time. I don't think they had many on. He was okay-ish. He wasn't too bad with us, but he had to kick us out. So Armando, you have to go now, Reggie. No good. So we didn't go out the normal way. We went out this other door. So near the jukebox, there were double doors on the right side, and they took you out another entrance. I'd never been that way. They must be like a fire exit. So we got ushered out of there, not violently, but it was like, get out, fuck off, go on. Yeah. So we come out, but when we came out, instead of coming out on Moon Street, we came out on Cross Street, the other side. So I was a bit confused. I thought, where are we now? But Bendy fell over onto the road, and this could have been really bad. He fell onto the road. A car just missed his head by a few inches as it was driving past. He could have splattered his head. And that was Bendy. There was always stuff that went on that was like mad. We do, like, if we in town at night, we'd climb up like scaffolding. And I remember this copper shouting at me, "Get the fuck down now." In St Anne's Square, I was a painter then. Up scaffolding, I used to climb up scaffolding and do daft stuff, hanging off them and all that. And they'd be like, this guy saw us, this copper, and he went mad and got down and, you know, he didn't do us anything like that. We had a thing for wrecking a lot of things as well, unfortunately. So Bendy got this brick and threw it this big massive window in Albert Square, and it just shattered. And honestly, I was like, you can't, you know, we've got to run now, we've got to go. So we both legged it. Next thing, this copper's behind us in the car, and we're running down the little alleyway up to Shambles Square. And the copper caught up with us, and he was blazing. He was going mad. What? You know, he grabbed us both. And we was like, we're only young lads, really. And he just grabbed us, this big copper. Who did it? I felt terrible. Bendy's did it. I just went in with him. And he just dragged him into the car. And I felt terrible. I thought, you just scratch your mate up. But he spent the night in Brutal Street, as it was called, wasn't it? So he spent the night there. And I felt terrible. I thought, I should have been me really as well. But I didn't do it, technically. But I was involved in it. But we did a lot of damage and stuff like that. We used to carry the beer crates up from Corbieres up to the Mayfair Club. I used to drag them up. I don't know why I did it. So people would be rolling joints by then. We started smoking a bit of weed and stuff like that. I'd be dragging these things up, and Corbieres, Amando again, the Mayfair ringing me up going, my kegs are here. Why are you doing this? Anyway, so by that time, Hacienda had obviously opened up like 82. So we joined because, again, we couldn't get in many places looking very young. We looked about 12, really. So we were just like, God, you're not coming in here, lads. We managed to get in a few places, but we were generally banned from a lot of places. Hacienda, we got in straight away. So we got the membership. I wish I would have kept it because a few years ago we had it, but I don't know where it is now. Membership card, and you could get in. And we must have been, maybe it was of age then, maybe it was about 18. So we started going to see gigs there, and that was brilliant. So it really started to open things up then. I was into I got a camera, I got this Nikon camera, what Craig had sold us. I had a Super 8 Cine camera. And at the corner house, they used to do, you could hire out video cameras. They did like a video course there. So started that, got into my film a lot. And music, and I was just exploring anything that artistic, even though I was just a drunken dickhead, really. But, you know, I loved all that. Got into like Taxi Driver, Godfather, all this, Scarface. I even bought a replica gun, this thing that used to fire blanks. And these look real.
Yeah.
And it was just mad. Anyway. So I thought, that was it. Thought about journalism a little bit, or interviewing bands. Let's see if we could do something like that. So there's a lot of fanzines around then. One of them was called Explicit.
Yeah.
So I got the fanzine and I thought, I'll get a little tape recorder. I'll walk around some venues and see if any bands are around and see if we can interview. Don't know who they are. Don't know how I'm going to do it. I just don't know anything about what I'm doing. I'm just going to learn and try and find out. So one day I walked past Hacienda and I could hear music, and it was the afternoon. And the big doors were open at the side where all the band equipment come in. So I walked around a bit and I could hear this sound. I thought, it sounds pretty good, that. Sounds interesting. This is the afternoon, like maybe can't remember, maybe a Wednesday afternoon. Walked in and there's just a few people hanging around doing sound checks, and then this band were on stage. So I just kind of wandered in and just looked at them. No one said, get out and that, you know. So I just stood there and listened to the band playing. I thought, they sound pretty good, these. Quite original. Guitar, a singer, bass, drums, and thought, it sounds pretty good, this. So I thought, well, what I'll do, I've got my tape recorder. I'll try and see if they'll do an interview and maybe give it to this Explicit fanzine and see if they'll publish it. So I went up to the drummer and I said, can I do an interview with the band? He said, no, it's only the guitarist and the singer do that. So they said, yeah. So I met these two lads, and then we went downstairs in the dressing room at Hacienda. So I said, my name's Nick, and I'm just doing this fanzine thing. If you're interested, you know, try and get it published. And I said, what's your name? So the singer said, my name's Morrissey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was like, Morrissey, right, okay, don't know you. This guy was there. And this is Johnny Marr. So I'm like, all right, Johnny, yeah. Nice one. So I said, I'm just going to ask you some questions. So where are you from? From Manchester, Stretford, scattered around. So that's how little I knew about him. I knew anything about him. Obviously, things came to pass, didn't they? So I was there, but I had this quite a bad stammer. Still got it a little bit, but it was quite bad at the time. I was nervous, so they must have thought it was this geek, like. So anyway, I had my tape recorder going. I've still got the tape somewhere, and I'm stammering on it a little bit, and I'm asking him questions. So, what do you think of London? How did you get signed? When did you single out? And it was nice and chilled, and that, and he went on for about 5 minutes or so. I had like 10 questions. And Morrissey, Johnny Marr did most of the chatting because he's probably quite chatty, but Morrissey did less of the talking, but it was more kind of profound stuff. He'd just make a few comments and say, what do you think about London? He said, well, London, it's great if you got the money, but if you're not, it isn't. I said, well, we slept in London because Craig had joined the Aztec Camera, so we had nowhere to stay. So we slept in a park, me and Bendy. So I said, I know what it's like. If you've not got any money in London, it's not very nice. So, we just had a chat and stuff like that. So, and then Johnny Marr said, hey, we got to go now. It's, we've got the sound check to carry on with all that. So that was it. So I get that tape. And then Morrissey gave us a 7-inch single, Hand in Glove. I think it's the first single was just coming out. So this is July 83. I know the date because I've seen the post. I had a look at it when it was 7th of July 83. On the way out, I couldn't get out of Hacienda. Doors were locked. So I went back to Morrissey. He gave us his single. And I went back to Morrissey and said, how do you get out? And he just went like that to the door, click. And I felt like a right geek. He said, I need that single back. I'm sorry, the DJ's not got a copy spot. I'll put you on the guest list like for tonight. So that's the start of like my Smiths, like in like really liking the Smiths. They did play there in the November, and so that was absolutely rammed. By then they got well known. I think they played Top of the Pops that night on the Thursday. And then we went to the evening gig at Hacienda. They drove up, and they had from the dressing room, we had someone like with a camera following upstairs onto the stage. It was like, and the place was hammered. It was packed, and there was just flowers everywhere. Gladiolis, whatever. And he had obviously his flowers in his back pocket, all that stuff. And so it was like the start of something really special. The Smiths were like favourite band then. I just thought, this is just magic. So Hacienda was the place to be. Loads of live events on them first few years. There was a lot of events on. Orange Juice, Pale Fountains, the Cramps played a bit later on. Stuff that I was interested in, and I'd moved on from the pub thing into guitar, more interesting kind of guitar stuff. Too Young, like Joy Division and New Order, I always missed them. I know they were always packed out when they played. So it was great. Say it was always a bit chilly in there, and it was open every night. You go in and there'd be no one in. Some nights, Sunday nights, just like, why is it open? And you'd wander around downstairs at the gate straight by with them two left down there. One of them was just a pain in the ass. But anyway, we did see a lot of good stuff over the years, and I did see it change as well. So we saw them changes coming in. So it'd be people, a bit student and stuff like that. And then it got a bit more scallies started infiltrating, coming in. That's other places. I think the gallery closed, and that was part of some of it, I think, as well. Different things were happening. So in terms of like our music, we played the gallery as well, which was good. We also saw Easterhouse there. Now, Gary Redshaw. Yeah, Easterhouse were getting quite well known in Manchester. So we used to go to all the music shops in town. So you've got Highway Music, which was on Deansgate, A1, which has been there for years. On Saturday afternoons, me, Bendy, Penn, Craig, we just go and spend all our afternoons in these music shops, picking up, like listening to people, like just playing guitar, messing around, dreaming that you could get, like a better amp and all that stuff and save up for one, and weren't earning much money then, but so we'd go there. So anyway, upstairs at Highway was Gary Rostock, so he was dead chatty, having a band and all that stuff. We're playing at the gallery, so we went down there, me and the cat, I think it was Bendy Penn, not sure, went down there to the gallery, and it was a great night. And we saw Easterhouse, and it was like, wow, quite early on. And they look quite mean and serious. Ivor looks like he looks just like he looks intense. Let's say intense is kind of a kind word, really. Pete Vanden on bass. I mean, he's a tough guy. The big family and stuff like that in Stretford. He's just, and Andy, the thing, he just had tons of confidence with his great vocals and presence. And they look the business. And I thought, this band is really good. They're not good. They're like really good. They're going to get, they're going to do something. So they befriended, Morrissey liked them quite a lot. And I think they went on a tour with them quite early on in around England. They did a few things in America and Europe, I think, as well. But there's a lot of infighting, I think, with Easterhouse. With the two, it's a bit like Oasis in a sense. The two brothers fighting it out. So it went very political with Andy, but Ivor was more interested in the music thing. But Ivor's like brilliant musician. So they had that great time, but I think it was, it wasn't going to last that long, and a lot of personality clashes, like a lot of bands. So Easterhouse were a good band. The venues at that time, you had Band on the Wall, which we played a few times. I don't think the Roadhouse was there that early on.
No, that was mid-90s.
Yeah, a bit later on. Yeah, we did play there, but say quite a bit later on. The Boardwalk had opened up. Again, that was a little bit later, but there used to be rehearsal rooms. So when we first went to the Boardwalk, it was only to go and rehearse downstairs. So we turned up. We only went a couple of times. So downstairs would be rehearsing, and apparently at that time there were a lot of bands. I don't know if the Stone Roses were rehearsing. There were lots of people around that time. So this is like mid-80s, and they were getting. They're going to be famous, some of these bands. We didn't know at the time. There was people knocking around that I think I kind of recognised them. And anyway, we only went a few times, but we did play there quite a lot of times. And that was varying mix of success. But we did have a good some good nights there. The first time, so we're skipping a little bit forward now on that. You're on about like taking like ecstasy, stuff like that. So that came into it. That was the time when I had the first one. It was there. So it was that was about 91. It was Interstellar playing. So Bendy had been in a band called Laugh, and some of them, the Stellar had joined that, I think, and then they became Interstellar. So that was another good band. So it was like, wow, this Manchester scene's really happening. There's loads of things going on. So my mate said, try that. It was 25 quid, something like that. And I thought, oh God, it's a lot of money, this, isn't it? And I just took it straight away. He went, no. You wait till you get into town. So I'm like, I took it, and I was like in the car driving up. My mate was driving his car up to the City Road Inn, and he came on me, and I'm like, oh my God. And he's got this big spliff going, and he says, have a bit of that, it'll bring it on a bit more. I'm like, yeah, have a bit of that. And I was like, fuck. I was really like, oh, this is just, I'm not before. So from a beer head, we went into this City Road Inn, and I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm just like a wreck. The guy said, what do you want to drink? I said, I don't know what to drink. I don't want to drink. Tony Thornborough was there. He said, I'll get him a beer. And he was more together. So I sat down, I'm like, fucking hell, and all this sound. Like, but you're in this quiet pub, just about 10 people in, quiet before the gig. So I was really off it, but I was like in the wrong place, let's say. We went round the corner and then to the Boardwalk, and a band called Crispy 3 were on. Yeah. These black lads. And they had all these barriers up. It looked a bit threatening. I don't like this. And because you trip, you're off your head a bit. It's all a bit, first time I've done it, so a bit like that. When Interstellar come on, it was really good. I think she had like her arm in a sling or something. It was just a bit of a bad night, but I really enjoyed it. I was like, wow. And then we went kind of backstage and just chatting with those people. And I think I enjoyed that more, having a laugh with everyone and getting a bit stoned. And like, it was a nice vibe then. Yeah. But yeah, I think they give you the Valium afterwards to calm you down, because it was like, he went on until about 4 or 5 o'clock. So I think by that time, I'd moved around a bit, so I left my house, my mum and dad's in Walkden, and then for a little while I moved to Alpha Street in Salford. It's off Langworthy Road. Again, it's going back a little bit. That would have been probably 87, 86, 87. And that was a mad little house. Downstairs, he had a little recording studio, or it was one. It had been like stripped out, but you could get drums down there. So we used to rehearse a bit down there with different people like Brian and Joey Salmon. So we'd do a bit of music there downstairs. Graham had lived there, Graham Byrne, and his Neil and Joanne. So I met a lot of people there who became lifelong friends as well, which was great. So we'd just do mad stuff there. We'd have music on all the time. Everyone was rolling joints up, beer non-stop. This gun thing I had, so we had a bit of a laugh with that. So it's a bit of a daft story, but around the corner it was it looked like Coronation Street really down there, and there was a local shop, and it just looked like Coronation Street. And we used to call the woman Vera, because she looked a little bit like Vera from Coronation Street, blonde hair and stuff. So me and Brian went in. So we'd always ask when we went to the shop there, we'd only be getting skins to rub and beers. That's all we went in for, and that was it. So Brian was living there all that time. So we put these bandito things on our heads like that. I had the gun, and we went in the shop and we held it up, and he says, "Right, all your beers and all your skins now." And the old bloke was there. He was just like, he was off his head anyway. I think he was just like, I don't think he even took any notice of us. And Vera, he was laughing. "Reggie, what are you doing? You're mad, you lot." Go on, give us all your drink. And they knew, it's just a laugh, but he could probably do that then. But he gets shot now. They have armed police probably coming round, helicopters and response units. The gun looked really like this 357 Magnum thing. We had a good laugh with that. It was just like, but he did fire these blanks. It sounded loud. So we had a few good parties there. And we'd have the kitchen. You never go in the kitchen. You just have open up a beer, you drink it, crunch it up, and just chuck it. So the kitchen just became a dumping ground for beer cans that steadily built up. I don't know how we lived. I think we lived on fish and chips and stuff like that. There was lots of chippies on there. The place was a bit wild on the wild side, but I think it got even worse after I left. It was like there was more things boarded up and stuff. You were on the wild side. We had these crutches. I used to get dressed up in stuff and go around on crutches, and the kids would come round shouting stuff, and you'd just be scaring them off and all that. So another story on Alpha Street was Brian had lost his keys. So we were out one night in town. We come back, the front door was hanging off its hinges, and we broke in. It was like, poor buggers, because there's nothing to nick in here. The front door was hanging off, so Brian had lost his keys, so he kicked the front door in. So this door was hanging off and all that. We come back from town, and to be honest, by that time I was sick of the place. It was a dump, and I was probably ready to move out or something like that. So come back with a few mates, and we were having a few drinks. You know what? This place I hate it. We just smashed it all up. So we got sulphurs and we threw them. Just wrecked it. I mean, it wasn't much different anyway to what it was. We just wrecked it even more. So we didn't bother cleaning it up. And on the Monday, the landlord come down, and I felt sorry for him. His face dropped. The front door's hanging off. All the place is wrecked. And he's like, "What's happened? What happened?" And he never got rent. He got rent off me because I always paid. But Brian, he had this thing going on. I'm on the dole, and he ended up. The landlord owed him money. The poor guy, he's pulling his hair out. So he said, "What happened?" They said, "Well, there was a rumour that the Smiths had rehearsed downstairs." Yeah, I don't think it's true. I think it's rubbish. But someone said there was a rehearsal downstairs. Frankly, he was the landlord, and the Smiths fans were coming up as a tribute to try and see where they started off. And we are in Salford, and it's got all connections with Salford. So we said that Smiths fans had come in, and when they found out that it was a story, that they just smashed all the place up. And he was like, "I don't believe you." we just made it up on the spot. One of them things. We said it was all these Smiths fans had come in and smashed the place up, but he didn't believe us. I moved out of there probably shortly after, but I met a lot of people there. and I had my cine camera going. I used to go, I did little bits of cine stuff. So I went down to London to see Easterhouse again, and that was at the Marquee Club, which is a brilliant club. The Marquee was like famous, Wardour Street. I mean, the Rolling Stones to play there, and it's like world famous. It's been shut for a few years now. So I remember with my Super 8 camera filming. I've still got a little bit of footage. The problem with the Super 8 is it's like old tech, really. I mean, this was like the 1980s. It was old tech then, I think. You only got 3 minutes of footage. So it's quite brief, and you've got to put it on a projector, and the projector will break down. And I've got loads of old footage. I need to get it transferred over, digitised. So I was into with photographers, taking lots of photographs, doing cinema stuff, cameras, following bands around, trying to do interviews and stuff like that. Just generally part of the music scene. So moved out of Alford Street, and then Cavendish appeared. So we used to know a guy called Andrew and Sally, who lived at 61 Cavendish. Flat 6, they had the big flat. So we ended up moving in there, and that was about 90, I think. So it was party central from day one, to people dropping in and out. The other flats had Mike and Vanessa, who's the hairdresser. He was got his own place like in town. So they lived in another flat, and then Rob Gray, little big band, moved in years later. Different people had moved in. Downstairs was Potty. He had a recording studio downstairs. He kept it hush hush because he was paranoid about getting robbed and all that. So the first night we moved in, we was just bouncing around. Graham and Aideen, there were loads of people dancing around. We had this massive room, and obviously the noise was horrendous. So I looked out the window about 4 a.m. and saw this guy stood there outside the window like that. We was upstairs on the first floor. He didn't look happy at all. He was he was well pissed off. So I thought I better go down and face it out and see what's going on. So we said, "What the fuck's going on?" And he was fucking well annoyed. He said, "I can hear every fucking sound. You're banging around, you're jumping around. We was jumping off the sofas and stuff, just bouncing around the room, dancing on the ledges. Yeah, I can hear everything." And it was like, "I'm sorry about this. We just one of them. We'll turn it down a bit." So probably turned it down a little tiny bit, and it was getting late anyway. So that was our introduction to Podsy today. And then, as I say, loads of different people in a different flat. So you go in, knock on a door, someone would knock on your door, have a couple of beers, have a spliff, and you'd end up staying in other people's flats. They come into your flat. Gradually, it got quite big. Lots of people would be dropping all the time. Neil was always there. Cousin Lee should turn up for the weekend. It was a time when people started doing like acid as well. Yeah, I had a few good trips in there. It's a bit not rural, but the area around it's got a lot of woods. So
in Prestwich, wasn't it?
Yeah, Prestwich. It was nice. It was on the border with Salford and Prestwich. A good, cracking little place.
I remember being a party there, and Marky Smith was there, and Marky Smith was on acid.
He was what? Sorry,
Marky Smith was on acid. And
He
got paranoid, and then he left.
Yeah. He had a few. We had a few run-ins with him. I mean, he lived round the corner, so you could walk up this little hill to our property. But it was an old Victorian, like an old mansion run down. It was fantastic. It's like Halloween, spooky. The big trees outside, and it was a mad place. And loads of people were in and out all the time. And they had a nice lawn at the front. So in the summer, it was great. You could chill out on the lawn, put the music on. But loads of people turned up, and Mark Smith, Mike knew him, so Mike did stuff with him, like on stage, like backstage stuff. So that's why he used to call up quite a lot. So we used to see him quite a lot. But I met him a few times, and the first time I met him, I was chatting away with him at Mike's place, and then he just turned weird on me. He's like, a bit aggressive but strange. I'm like, what's he on about? We're on about something, bit of music, and next thing he's gone weird. So the next day, Mike said he just does stuff like that. I'm like, well, I don't know. Anyway, he turned up a few times with Polish vodka or something. With people were just falling down from drinking it because it was super strong stuff. And times that he turned up, he was okay. We had a few like good bonfire nights and stuff like that there. I remember one night I was tripping. We had these big long candles, massive big ones, and I was outside They were lit like that, doing all this stuff. I was tripping all the trails of light would come like that. And my mate Damien called up and he said, he come up this hill and he'd only just met us really, didn't really know us. He'd heard that there was a few people living there and he was a musician as well. He called up and he come near me and he got like wax right across his face, hot wax. And so that was the introduction to Damien. And also at that time we was watching like mad stuff like 10 Rillion Place, John Christie, the film. It's just hilarious, even though it's not. We had all this. I had this on a tape. I had a little tape going, and it said, "I've only just brewed up a cup of tea now." We'd have his words on it, and the taxi driver picked up Damien, and I was off my head again. I was like, I had this tape recorder going, kept playing it to the taxi driver. Just a cup of tea. I've only just brewed up. And the taxi driver was like, "Who are these people?" and all that, and they just race off.
Yeah, I remember being at yours. One stoned, and
yeah.
It was a horror film, Dr. Giggles.
Dr. Giggles, yeah. Oh, just yeah, that's it. Is that the lad? Was that your mate?
No, there was an actual film called Dr. Giggles.
Oh, Dr. Giggles, lady. Yeah. No. There was a lad that you brought up once who was always laughing. He had this mad laugh.
Cooney.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He was nice. So there was we had some big parties there. So at the big cellars downstairs, we kitted it out. Now I'm not sure if it's my 30th birthday, but it might have been before that. We had a few big ones, but there was one really big one. And again, excuse me, tripping. We kitted out the cellar. We did it proper style. We had a drum kit. There were massive big rooms. Put loads of stuff on the walls. We had 2 DJs, so we invited this girl and a lad, I think it's 3 of them, to do the DJing. We had it set up properly. At the time, the Hacienda was on, and I think it was getting a bit mad. I think that's why we was more based in Prestwich a little bit. We still went to town a lot, started off there, we'd come back, but we gathered a big crowd of people. It was like getting bigger and bigger, all mates of mates. Yeah. And before you know it, we'd invited like, there was like 50 people, something like that, in the cellars. We had our own music on. Everyone was doing their own thing. It was great. I did this video of Apollo missions, fed it down from upstairs downstairs with this cable drilled through the floors, and had this big television screen on. So you try to get the visuals going as well. And it's amateur, but it was good.
Yeah.
So we had this massive party going on down there, tripping, everyone's off their heads and all that. And these coppers had turned up a few times, and it was like, who's partying? And it's him, it's this party. And I remember these cops in front of me, and they were like, looked like they were melting. I'm like, God, I can't. This is just like this. They said, if you come again, we're shutting it down with the right van. So I'm like, right, okay, like that. Anyway, I think he did eventually shut down about 5 a.m, but my mate did a streak, so he took all his clothes off.
Oh, I think I remember this.
Yeah, Tommy. So Tommy ran out of the cellars and then ran through the woods, and I thought, I'm going to join him, so I just stripped off.
I remember it.
I hurt my foot. I was like, it's on stones, isn't it? So we just ran out and ran up back into our top flat. So, a lot of mad stories, a lot of good times, and a lot of people were there. But like a lot of things, got out of hand. There was a few bit of scuffling going on towards the end of some of the parties, and I thought, it's getting too much. People that I don't really know are turning up. Again, things, you have a golden time, don't you? And things kind of go a bit askew. So that was a good time at the cabinet. So that went on for years, off and on. We had a big party there at 2000, which was good. I moved around the flats different times, and then eventually moved out. Everyone moved out and moved on in their lives and stuff like that. Joanne and Trevor at Prestwich at Simister, and Graham and Nadine. So another thing that you mentioned, Graham and Nadine, so they lived in Cromford Court, which is above the Arndale, which you spoke about previously as well, which I remember. Yeah, that's it. So Cromford Court was good because, again, they go in like 90s, so early 90s, maybe 90. So after Hacienda and places like that, we'd end up going back there quite often to Graham's place, Graham and Nadine's, and that, again, music loud, and the poor the poor pub. So there's one with 2 necks. So we'd ordered a taxi at 3 a.m, something like that, to get home. And they'd be bibbing their own outside because you had to go down these stairs, this lift, I think. to the bottom. You just an entrance, you wouldn't know where you was, but this upstairs was quite a big place, and there's no one lived in Manchester then. It was one of them, quite a unique spot. I think the riots were on as well. Jeff the Chef was involved. Was he in the riots over it?
Yeah, riots,
around the same time, because he was always a helicopter above Cromford Court, because it's Tradeways is like spitting distance, but not far away, or half a mile or something. I mean, we were doing that to the helicopter, and the light, the spotlight came on us on top of this. They had this nice terrace thing, so we all ran inside. But we had a lot of mad nights there. So the Swan with Two Necks pub was opposite the entrance, and the taxis were always beeping, and this guy was always, "Not my taxi!" You know, we were waking him up. This landlord, he hated us, so we'd get in taxis and go home then. But Cromford Court was a great place, and that was like a unique kind of setup, really. So a lot of places like the gallery and stuff like that we used to go to and stuff. And next to that was Top Cappy, the famous kebab place.
Yeah.
So that was just mental. So you go clubbing it and everything, and then you go back to somewhere to eat. A kebab is the best in it. So you go in there and you know, the kebab, and there'd be people fighting, and there'd be people smashing each other up. I remember just sat on the curb like that, and just eating this kebab and stuff like that, and there'd be someone being murdered behind me or something like that, some horrible things happening, and you just oblivious to it. I'm eating my food, you know. I remember once, I don't know, other people have done it, possibly they've done it, but I went back for two, because I was just a greedy fucker. So I went back and had another one. But it was always hard to get back. Sometimes you'd have to run home, because you couldn't get a taxi. It was hard to get taxi. I'm going through Salford and stuff like that. In danger, really, because you just run, because you never know who you'd meet. Roaming gangs and things. There was trouble. Trouble was like synonymous, and we wasn't violent. We were into that, really. But you took your life in your hands, and when I look back at things, I had a lucky escape on quite a lot of occasions. Little things happened, and I moved sideways, and one of them went to New York '91. That was quite wild as well. With like a lot of rough sleepers and quite a tough place to be, and you just kept your head down, really, and stuff like that. But that was a good time. We went up the Twin Towers and stuff. Just amazing to see it all, really. So interested in all kinds of art, films, music, all that stuff. Bands we played with. So touching back to Ivor. So Ivor did Easterhouse. That band split up. Andy carried it on, I think. He got a deal with Rough Trade, I think, or they were on Rough Trade. He carried it on. They had an album, but I don't think it panned out very well. So Ivor being very creative genius, really. I mean, he was always writing stuff. He was on to the next thing. He didn't settle on one thing. He started getting into like more electronic dance music. The guitar was still there, of course, but in his place in Stretford, we used to go up there. So I knew Ivor like from Easterhouse a little bit. And then we come out to Shambles Square and meet up a lot of people, Shambles Square, Corbieres, and then we go off to different places. So got to know Ivor pretty well. So he knew I'd play drums. So I went up to his house once, and him and a guy called Simon were in his back bedroom again. Like, it's like a Mad Professor stuff. It's like millions of wires and cables and massive decks, boards and everything going on, and like crazy sounds and all like new stuff going on, experimental stuff. And it sounded brilliant. I was like, wow, this is great, but no room for drums, because at that time drums were like you were having changed from acoustic stuff to electronic stuff. I couldn't program stuff. I didn't fancy that anyway. I'm not that good on the tech side. Acoustic drums are where I was at. So the bands I'd been had faded out. Pepplecade, we had a 12-inch. We went to London to try and promote it, and that faded. We went and played the Rock Garden, London, stuff like that. The band didn't really take off. We put some money in, we got it a bit back. They're actually worth 70 quid, these 12 inches now, because it's a rare record. Yeah, believe it or not, it's like not that good, to be honest. But anyway, at the time, it was good. So I got in with Ivor a little bit, and then he was doing electronic stuff, and then he had what he wanted was like drums playing in the background of his electronic dance beat stuff going on. So they had an interest from a record company. I'm not sure if it's City B or XL, someone like that. It's the guys, Nick Hawkes, the guys that signed Prodigy. So we started rehearsing in town. I mean, that was the volume, but that was earth shattering. So you had this track going on, this bass heavy drum thing going on, and then drums over it. Oh, God, like even in the recording like rehearsal place, there was things above it, like the offices, and they would go in too loud. It's too much. It's a rehearsal place. What are you supposed to live? So we had the good luck and fortune to have some support slots with a band called the Shaman.
Oh,
so, yeah. So they were coming up then. So this was like about maybe 1990, something like that. So Move Any Mountain. So that song was out. Move Any Mountain. So that was they were getting quite good. And that was that dance thing going on. So we went to Liverpool University and we supported them on a synergy night, and that was really good. So the guy, we met him, these two guys that we met, singer, can't remember his name now, Chris, Collins, like that. Will, I think the guy, bass player called Will, he's like dreadlocks. He was dead nice. He liked one of Ivan's tracks that he'd heard that had been released, and that's how we got the support slot. So we did the night, and it was really cool. There's this synergy. It was like a mix between a live venue and a club vibe going on, and they got it just right, really. There was other acts on as well. Quite nerve-wracking, because I'm quite nervous, really. We're getting quite a lot of people here, and Ivan's quite meticulous and methodical and quite intense to work with. Perfectionist in a lot of ways. Suffer glue, feels gladly, let's say. So I'm very nervous. Like drum kit going on. This Will Sinnott said drums are dead. Don't have drums to either. So that was inspiring for me. All right. Anyway, we did the gig, and then we did another one at Manchester, the Academy. So that was like again getting quite big here. There's quite a lot of people turning up. So that was a good night. Again, sound checking, nervous and all that. Like, Christ, can I do this and all that? Not sure of my part really, because it was drums, but not the drums that I would play. Backbeat was like adding on to a drum soundtrack. So I was a bit like, I did like the sound. I like the song. Helen was involved, his wife as well, singing. Simon, the guy called Simon Muppet on bass. So it was a good vibe. So we did that one, and then we played in London on our own. And this was the one that we tried to get like a record deal sorted out or more promotion. London ULU, University of London Union. So we played the gig there, but the sound was terrible. We had this guy, I don't know what he was on, but he was just rubbish. He did us no favours with the mixing of the thing. And then Nick Hawkes come down, the guy that say like before he signed the Shaman, Prodigy, and he said, you need to kick it, get it, need more energy on the thing. So I don't think he was that impressed. There was another guy called Chris who turned up, who was interested in promoting us and giving us some money and that, but that panned out. So after that, the band kind of folded. But I think just before that, we'd done something else in London, the Snub TV thing. So Snub TV was like BBC Two arts music programme. And I think on our episode 4 were on it. Arrested Development, a few bands on it as well. And
what was the Fall doing?
Sorry?
Is that the one where the Fall did New Big Friends?
I'm not too sure. I know they were on one of them. They had different bands on in different times, so I'm not sure. We were probably on a few times, but I've got a recording of it. You can go on YouTube and look, just put Snub TV on. I did look. I thought, I wonder if it's on. Ours is on, but the whole programme's probably on, possibly.
Are you to send a link?
Yeah. I will do, yeah, definitely. So we recorded that in London. The studio was like Waterloo somewhere. And again, it's like you're nervous and all that, but it's good. It's like you're kind of on the cusp of something, but it didn't materialise. So obviously a bit disappointed. So Ivor disbanded the band, and I did play with him later on, a band called Carlos, which was his brother was involved in Andy, and we used to race in Andy's place in Charlton. And that was like guitar heavy stuff, and that was brilliant. Really enjoyed that. That was like me in my vibe. And then that kind of faded out. So Parchment was the band that we played with either early on with Helen, Spin TV, and then it was Carlos, and then that disbanded. And that was my last venture into music, really. I think that after that, it kind of things fizzled down a bit. But quite a lot of things, really. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's been amazing, this. I think we're coming up to an hour now. So
yeah,
I'd like to end them.
Yeah.
I've actually got a track in my head now. But I'm going to say, like, give me a track that takes you back to the Cavendish Road parties.
Oh, God, that's... there's loads of... I mean, I think, not corny, but D-Light was always on.
Yeah. Grooves in the Heart.
Yeah, Grooves in the Heart. So that was always like a party song that was always on. Them party songs were always on. We played all kinds of music, of course, so we was into like everything. I was into like indie, a lot of indie stuff, but the dance thing was always nice to hear. So we always like listen to a lot of that stuff. Like 808 State was always all that stuff. A lot of ambient stuff. You'd just be like,
that's what's in my head. That's what's in my head now. Perpetual Dawn by The Orb.
The Orb was it.
I can remember you go.
Yeah. There's a sample of something on that.
Yeah.
The Orb, I did see The Orb in Ireland, and again, it was great at night. I wasn't doing anything, just a few drinks, but he always wanted them to kick it up a little bit more. They'd give you them beats, and it was like nice, but you just wanted that extra bit on sometimes when it was like live. But listening to it, The Orb would probably like sum it up really. In Corbieres, the stuff that I used to listen to, I used to really love was the Uncertain Smile. Gil Scott Heron, The Bottle. I think it's called The Bottle. But I didn't know Tom Wood did all the things from that, because that's interesting bits of snippets of information that he used to get a lot of the singles and put them on. Really interesting stuff that you've had on. It's been brilliant.
So thank you so much. I'll just stop going.
Appreciate it.
We can have a carry on the chat.